Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 06th May 2016. The first article is related to the amendments to Prevention of Corruption Act. So in this, there are three important proposals which this article talks about. Now, the bribe giver is also made as an offender with regard to the new amendments. So with regard to India, the bribes are even necessary for basic legal entitlements. In this case, if a bribe giver is also made as an offender under the law, then it disincentivizes him to give a complaint to the government. And the second thing is, you can see three different types of the bribe givers. In coercive corruption, as he has no other go, then he will go for the bribe. And the second thing is, in collusive corruption, he also has a pecuniary gain out of it. And the third thing is, a person tries to give the bribe to mend the rule without any pecuniary benefit. These are the three types of the people. Now, in this case, the first type of the people need to be exempted who are offering the bribes. So, an effective grievance redressal mechanism is necessary to stop these people. So, in India, we don't have a public grievance redressal system. So, obviously, the particular step will automatically demoralize the people to give a complaint about a corrupt official. And coming to the investigation. So, you know there is investigation and prosecution. These are two different things. In the investigation, the section 6A of Delhi Special Police Establishment Act, what it says is, if an investigation has to be started against an officer of the rank of Joint Secretary, the government's permission is necessary. So it was declared as unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. Now what the amendment law says is, with regard to certain types of the decisions, in relation to his line of duty to perform his responsibilities, if an officer makes a decision, no investigation has to be taken onto him without the permission from the Lokpal. So for prosecution, yes, you need to take the permission even now and then too. But previously we had only for the joint secretary and above level officers the permission from the government. Now for any government officer for the certain types of the decisions on the line of duty, you need to take the permissions from the Lokpal. So it also provides for an extra line of protection. And the retired bureaucrats did not have the protection against investigation and prosecution previously. Now the retired bureaucrats also have provided for the necessary protection. Why the government wanted to take these amendments? If you see the Prevention of Corruption Act, section 13(1)(d), the sub clause 3, what it says is, in a public official in his line of duty, if it causes any pecuniary benefits to a private individual, then it can be considered as a criminal misconduct. So in this case, if I make any decision in the line of duty in a good spirit, with a good intention, but if it has gone wrong and benefited one or two private individuals, the investigative officer and prosecution need not prove that I have a pecuniary interest in that matter. Just if they prove that I have caused the benefit to another private individual, then they can prove me, or else I am liable for the criminal misconduct. Because of this, bureaucratic inertia is clearly visible. No one are ready to take the proactive decisions. So to do away with this, these recommendations are suggested. So in this context, they are going to weaken the corruption climate and strengthen the corrupt officials is one thing we need to look at. Now coming to the Indian Express explained paper, monsoon isn't the only spoiler. Here the news is this. Now between 2003-2004 to 2013-14, there is a huge growth of the agricultural exports from more 7,500 crores to it has reached up to 43,000 crore rupees. From then onwards, there is a decline in the agricultural exports. So today monsoons are expected to be good. In spite of this, the farmers' farm income may not increase. The major reason is the fall in the agri-export prices or the prices of these commodities. So the global prices are falling. So the farmer, obviously when the global prices fall, then the imports becomes cheaper rather than the local procurement. Obviously, the procurement prices also goes down and it reduces the farm income to the farmer. And coming to the Italian mariners issue, so on Enrica Lexi, a merchant ship, these people have fired on the shipping boat off the coast of Kerala. So in this context, certain people, two people were killed. Then these Italian marines, they were arrested, and first issue was the jurisdiction, or do they come under the jurisdiction of the High Court or Supreme Court? The Supreme Court said that they come under the jurisdiction of the center. And the second thing is, do they come under the jurisdiction of the Indian laws or the jurisdiction of the Italian laws is the second thing. So this has become a big diplomatic issue, and it was went to the Permanent Court of Arbitration, and recently it has given its judgment, and I'll not say judgment, an interim order, while the final judgment is pending. According to it, India and Italy has to cooperate with each other, and Indian Supreme Court has to relax the bail norms on the humanitarian grounds, and till the final order is delivered, so the people they come under the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court of India. So the status quo will be maintained till the final order comes up. This is what is the final decision. And now coming to the Enrom's article on investigative journalism. So he says there are two major challenges to investigative journalism. One is deception. Most of the information which these people gain, it is from deception. So it means they cannot be in a position to get information directly. So through one or the other way, most of the journalists tries to get the information. So here he says that when safeguards are necessary, the deception has to be resorted to only the information is not available through direct route. And everywhere it has to be monitored by a proper editorial supervisor. And the deception has to be put to the public interest test. Only if the public interest is served, then only the journalists have to go through deception. And added to that, many times in the investigative journalism, they talk about anonymous and confidential information. So in this case, the source of the information may misuse and may give the information to beat out his competition, or else to provide for some information that can. Added to that, he talks about something else. The investigative journalism has to be seen as an extension of the journalist practices itself, so that it can provide for its strong roots in the ethos of the journalism. It shall not be seen as a field which is away from the regular journalistic traditions. So the journalistic values have to be the core of the investigative journalism. Now, coming to the forest fires, if you take in Uttarakhand, you have this chirpine needles. So there will be a duct, and these are highly prone for fire. The chirpine tree is fire resistant, but these chirpine needles, these are very much fire prone. And previously people used to collect them for their livelihood uses. As the migration has increased from the Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh villages, their use has decreased. And added to that, the dry leaves are adding to this particular fire. So how it has to be addressed? So the pine needles, they have to be used for various commercial purposes, the tile manufacturing, etc. And then these commercial use shall be promoted through the creation of SHG, self-help groups, etc. to promote the livelihood opportunities for the villagers. And the broadleaf cover, the moisture retaining broadleaf cover has to be increased. And traditionally the forest lines and fire breaks are used. It means that between the continuity of the forest, certain area will be left without any trees, so that the forest fire will not spread to the next area. So this for continuation has to be practiced. And ISRO, the spatial research, it provides for various wind and other details. And also the spectrometer, which provides for an understanding of origin of the early fires and early detection. These technologies need to be used. And the people management, especially involvement of the local people through one panchayats and joint forest management, is of key to success with regard to the fire management. And coming to the recurring scandals. So the Augusta Westland scandal is not the first, and it is not going to be the last. So in this context, what are the problems in the defense procurement? There are three major stages. One is service quality requirements and field trials, and third one is service contract negotiation, where the defense contract is prone for corruption. The service qualitative requirements, in this, whatever the standards which are being written, it can be influenced by the outsiders, agents and middlemen. And in the Augusta Westland, the initial prescription was for 6,000 meters high fly, but later it was reduced to 4,500 through the middlemen and bribe. And next to field exercises, here the quality may be over certified. And service contract negotiations, here a benchmark price has to be set, and many a times a higher benchmark price is being set. So in this context, a permanent solution is necessary for these matters. So here in 1989 itself, Defense Ministry, it has given certain conditionalities with regard to the involvement of the middlemen in with regard to the defense procurement. So those need to be continued, and they are not being implemented even till date. So the implementation is very much necessary. Now, with regard to Uttarakhand issue, the High Court has questioned about the proceedings in the House. So now, in the House, the Supreme Court has established in the Jharkhand case and Jagadambika Pal case that the Speaker is the final authority. If the courts look into the matters what is involved in the House, probably it is a strong breach of the separation of the powers established in our Constitution. Now, reverse consumer protection or pervasive consumer protection, let us understand this. So previously for the petroleum products, we have the administered price mechanisms, and during Vajpayee government, we have been done away with these administered price mechanisms. So it has become volatility of the prices prone to the market forces has become a major issue, and all the burden was passed to the customers. Now when the prices are decreasing, the government is increasing the excise duties and getting the necessary fiscal space rather than passing it on to the consumer. It is clearly visible in the higher food prices because of the relatively higher inflation compared to the other indices, that is especially consumer price index. The food price index is very high. Though it shows that the increase in petroleum prices is also creating an impact on the society. Now, coming to the news, Japan and India, US three together, they have resorted to the Malabar exercises, the annual naval exercises. And with regard to the visa plans, the Ministry of External Affairs and the Commerce Ministry, they have proposed for total visa-free travel for the business. Now, this is for both basic countries and also the members of RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. But Ministry of Home Affairs is objected to this on the security grounds, stating that the Chinese nationals cannot be given a visa waiver to travel into India. And with regard to the wrong map, so if you observe, if you go travel to US and if you see the Indian map, it shows the Kashmir in Google Maps as like this: India administered Kashmir and POK as Pak administered Kashmir. So in this context, if any map of India is depicted in wrong way in on Indian soil, it can be fined to the tune of 100 crores with a punishment imprisonment up to 7 years. So in this case, a bill is being about to be introduced in the Parliament, that is Geospatial Information Regulation Bill. According to this, even accessing of the geospatial data, publishing and sharing of the geospatial data will be regulated by the government, and a prior permission is necessary from the government for the purpose. And coming to the TTIP, it relates to the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership. The France has recently expressed its regret with regard to the lowered standards of consumer and environmental protection in this agreement. It also says the role of the state will be decreased and excessive importance will be given to the business, where the maneuverability of the governments will decrease to serve the social objectives. That is the reason why it is not ready to agree to this. So these are the articles for today. Thank you very much.